the this is Bible based. It's not psychology based or anything else based.
Okay.
It's just literal interpretation of the Bible.
Okay.
Any questions, you can maybe hold them to the end. I should put this on a slideshow, but then I get a little, because I like to see people, but I always send it to a slideshow. So the first thing is, we read this tonight. Leviticus 18, 22, 23. 22 says, do not lie with a male as one lies with a woman. It is an abhorrence. And do not have carnal relations with any beast, defile yourself thereby. And let no woman lend herself to a beast to mate with it. It is perversion. So the question is, who is this message for? And as we talked during Ruthie's reading, Hoover pointed out, it's all for the men. All of Leviticus is designed to talk to the men. So we can see in the 20. So the first one, we have males is to both. However, you notice the second one. This is why it even says tell the women not to do the same as to mate with the beast. So these two things are a little different. What is the difference between these two passages?
Well, I'm not sure if it's just a translation issue, but maybe you cover that. You know, the do not permit, right? That's what you're getting at.
Well, the first one is, it just says males don't lie with each other. It doesn't say anything about tell the women not to lie with women. Does everyone notice that?
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
No homosexual, relationship, but it's okay to have lesbian relationship.
That's what the Bible says. It says males cannot lie with males. However, it never says females cannot lie with females.
What's the difference? I think that was the difference between the two.
So there it is. That's the difference. And so we can deduce that the Bible doesn't say anything about females, and that it might be very okay for females to lie with females.
Thank God. Seriously, my daughter's married to a beautiful female, my daughter-in-law. So God help us. But if she ever heard that, she'd be on the warpath.
And I mean, but there's a lot here. So I think what the Bible is telling us, we have to ask ourselves, who are males and who are females? So just to go down the list, males cannot lie with males, females can lie with females, and males, of course, and females can lie together. A female can lie with a male can lie with a female. That's the way Adam and Eve had it, right? That's essentially it. So we have to ask, who are the males and who are the females? And if we go all the way back to the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis, God said, let us make man in our own image, after our own likeness. And then the next verse, God created man in his image, the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. So what does that mean? It means
that
go for it, Annie.
The creation has both genders at the same time.
Boom, that's what I think. That's what I think the Bible's, that's what I exactly think the Bible's saying, because it doesn't say some were created female, some were created male. It just says male and female, he created them.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, I think it's separate. I don't think it means, I'm just saying, I don't see that it's together. It means that God, the image of man, in other words, we only exist because we only can recreate ourselves. God created us, starts off creation. We have to perpetuate that. And you need males and females to do that. So God created, God, men and women, we're both created in God's image.
Right.
And when we say God's image, again, what is the image of God? God doesn't have a specific image. But I think that male and female together creates the image of God because God creates, and the union of male and female has the potential to create.
That's well said. Pete,
That's just my opinion. I
that's
don't know.
beautiful.
I don't know what
Together,
it is.
yeah, because it forms a whole. Male and female form a
Right.
whole, and that's
Right.
creation. That's very good. I would go a little bit in a different direction because I feel like when God says He created them male and female, I am guessing at this point, I'm believing actually that God is talking about our souls, and our souls possibly have the potential to be both male and female. And if we go in that direction, we can say that if God has created us in God's image, God is both female and male, and then we might be able to deduce that we are both female and male. And it depends on, how, I mean, I think, I don't know if have we ever seen a man who doesn't act quite like a man, but it looks more like a woman to us, or talks more like a woman, or vice versa?
Yeah,
Have we ever?
I know where you're coming from, Mike. There are people that have like more even probably XY gene, whatever that the gene is, whatever is. There's more people that have more of the X than the Y, whatever, and that's very yeah. Like there are women that are more male type, and men that are more female type. But I think that's true that there's some people have more female characteristics and some males have more. I mean, more males have more female, and females have more male
Yeah,
characteristics.
all humans when they start off are female,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in the process at some point that they become male. So we have
Oh,
males and females, but
I didn't
female
know that.
structure and male structure is very, very similar.
True.
Yeah,
True.
that's true.
I learned to learn that one. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, can I just ask you something? How did you know that we started off as a female?
Well,
How did
yeah.
I know?
What's
Mhm.
his source, you're asking?
What's the source?
Maybe it's Dr. Ed.
No, it's not.
No. Let me say it's a definition issue that the male stem cells uh, are basically nothing before they become male, and the nothing stays female. So
Oh,
it's a definition, but in essence, Mr. Berg is correct in that sense. In
Thank
oh,
that
you.
sense, because
I just recently saw this and I looked at it and looked around. It's tourism. So I don't know what that means, but I this thing that bothers me, and of course it shouldn't, is that it's not okay for a man to lie for a man. It doesn't say it's okay for a woman to lie with a woman. It makes no because of the male dominance. It makes no statement. Because it makes no statement doesn't mean that it's accepted,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Okay.
we're gonna this is gonna get pretty deep. Let me talk a little bit about this. I was accepted into the School of Public Health with John Money for psychosexual
Right.
differentiation for my doctorate. I was accepted into that, and I didn't think when I thought about it, I really chose hematology for my doctorate and PhD because when push came to shove, I was a little more interested. But I went to a couple of interviews. So, and John Money was the first person who wrote the book Man, Woman, Boy, Girl about sex change and about people believing that they were the opposite sex from as early as the time that they could speak. So this is very, it's very, very controversial in that situation. We're going through that right now. The
Right.
Supreme Court in Massachusetts today decided that they would talk about a situation of male, male, female, female,
Gender assignment.
gender assign, not gender assignment, but schools where a same-sex couple wants to send their kids to school. So here we are in 2026. We're still contemplating our navel, and that's probably a pun.
All right, I'm gonna go through this pretty quick because I know everyone's got an opinion about this. So this is the only psychology we're going to do tonight, and that is the APA. And the studies show that one's sex has little or no bearing on their personality, cognition, and/or leadership skills. And there's a great quote here that was by Liz Henson, who was a upper management leader in, I think it was 3M. And she says, we all have masculine, feminine sides, and these are in no way related to gender. The same mix of the masculine and feminine are found in men as well. However, the workplace norm is often traditionally to downplay feminine qualities, such as caring, love, and compassion. Instead, more masculine qualities, such as command, aggression, and leadership, are more highly valued. So in society, you can see that we tend to kind of go into these roles, as it were. And traditionally, a male is going to be on the right side. That's going to be an aggressive person. And again, we're not talking about people's bodies here. We're talking about people's identities or their, I like to say soul. It could be just who they are. I've worked for many females that were very much aggressive, very much leader driven. They were female. However, they had many qualities that were male like. And females on the opposite side traditionally is submissive. It's a little bit more heartfelt, emotional, maybe a follower, peaceful. So these are the things we're talking about. And I think the Bible is trying to explain that an aggressive male type of person shouldn't want to bond with another male aggressive type person. This situation here is like balanced. It's good. What else is good? 2 females, like we said. There's in any of the religious texts that we have, even the Christian text, there's nothing that calls 2 females out. So this is good as well. When you have something like this, where there's somebody in the middle that can kind of go female or male, and the other person's a male, this is a good relationship too. It's when you get into this kind of setup, when you can't really see the graphics because the graphics suck, but you see the very far edge of 2 males, and they could have any body whatsoever. That's the important thing. They don't need to be a male body and a male body. It could be a male body with a female body. It could be a female body with a female body, and they're both very aggressive people. This, I believe, is what the Bible is trying to talk to us about. And this, of course, is no good because it just spelled it out in 1822.
Or it could be, I just want to say, but it could be a man that's been married for 46 years to a Jewish woman. That's all I got to say.
This situation, is that what you're saying, Jonathan?
I'm just saying.
All right. So my premise is
a lot of sexism going on here.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking traditional roles, but I'm telling you, I've worked with a lot of females that have had very male traits. They're very male-like. So just my premise is male and male creates a relationship where competition reigns and violence and destruction take root. And victims are usually outside the relationship. So when a male mates or chooses another male as in a relationship, the gratification is achieved through dominating and destroying the outside victim. So again, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could have a male who's really effeminate on one side, and you could have another male who's really aggressive on the other side, and that would be fine. But if it's 2 very aggressive people, that's where I believe the Bible is telling us that it's no good.
That's called the Boston marriage.
Yeah, there you go.
Seriously.
That's right. But I'm trying to point this. I'm trying to bring us to where I believe the Bible is pointing us, and it's this situation here. And the examples are like hazing, extreme BDSM, and it's like as if what is that? Mixed martial arts, MMA. It's as if the gratification comes from violence. All of a sudden, it's not sexual anymore, but the violence becomes the sexual gratification. And it could be like a very aggressive fighting match, and the outcome would become the rape of the loser. And that's the kind of like, that's what I believe the Bible is telling us to stay away from, that kind of thing. And where does the Bible give us the example of that? It was in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, if we remember from Genesis 19. Yeah. So we've all read this before. Does anyone care to read this? I think there's only like 3 quick screens. Who would like to read?
I could read this quickly. I could do
Thank you, Philip.
So starting with the 2 angels, right?
Yes.
So the 2 angels arrived in Sodom in the evening as Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to greet them, and bowing low with his face to the ground, he said, "Please, my lords, turn aside to your servant's house to spend the night and bathe your feet. Then you may be on your way early." But they said, "No, we will spend the night in the square." The angels had not yet lain down when the townspeople, the men of Sodom, young and old, all the people to the last man, gathered about the house, and they shouted to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may be intimate with them." So Lot went out to them to the entrance, shut the door behind him, and said, "I beg you, my friends, do not commit such a wrong. Instead, let me sell my daughters to harlotry."
That's exactly it. Keep going.
Look, Lot said, "I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you please. It breaks me up to do this, but yes. God. But do not do anything to these men, angels, since they have come under the shelter of my roof," unlike my daughters. But they said, "Stand back." The fellow, they said, referring to Lot, came here as an alien, and already he acts the ruler. Now we will deal worse with you than with them.
Right. And so this little diversion to the daughters is it's a big clue as to what these men of Sodom are about. They don't care to be with people who are not going to fight back. They want to fight. They want somebody who's going to be powerful, and they want to engage in some sort of fight. So the townspeople pressed hard against the person of Lot and moved forward to break the door. The men stretched out their hands, pulled Lot into the house, shut the door, and people who were at the entrance of the house all were struck blind, so that they were helpless to find the entrance. And so Sodom and Gomorrah had to be destroyed. Why? Because according to the Bible, it says the cry from the people to God was so great that it could no longer stand. So who were in charge of the city? Sodom's men, and they were hell-bent on destroying anyone who entered the city. It was a violent welcoming committee. And it was also, if you remember, the first thing was that everybody was gathered around the house. It was a huge entertainment spectacle. It was going to be horrific. It was going to be like the worst kind of orgy, violence type of thing that you could have. And the idea is it's because the men were coming together, men to men. Let me ask just a question. Has anyone been to Provincetown? Does this kind of thing happen over in Provincetown? I don't know.
Everyone seemed very friendly when I was in PJ.
Yeah. They didn't charge. So it's a whole different situation. Why is it different in Provincetown? Because you have people who are more inclined to be on the female side of things, and they might be attracted to people who are on the male side of things. Even though they're same sex, they still have that balance. The Sodom and Gomorrah story is all imbalanced. It's too much male.
And we also have Northampton, Massachusetts, which is the exact opposite of Provincetown. Why do we have to have either of these places? Why can't people be comfortable homogeneously?
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. So here's the males of Sodom. They're all over to the right side. It's big. So ideal person, hopefully, I don't know what an ideal person is. Maybe it's the person that can kind of integrate both sides of themselves, or be one side in one instance, maybe a female on the other side. But the bottom line is, too much maleness in a relationship is a bad thing. And that's the whole Torah. The whole Torah talks directly to men, and it tells them to be less aggressive. Just as we were talking about tonight, everything was guided to the male. Don't sleep with your son's daughter, right? We went into that for 20 minutes. It's good. So all of these things set it up for men have got to keep things in a box.
Don't we have this whole thing now, though, about hormone replacement, testosterone? You're over 50. No, that's baloney.
So
I'm going to have to step out. Thanks.
Wait,
Michael.
Philip. You got to get this last slide. I'm at my last slide. Hang on.
Going to be in deep doo-doo.
Oh, it's going to be worth it to be in deep doo-doo. What is forbidden? So check out this relationship that I believe sums it up incredibly well. And we all know this relationship. And does anyone have a guess? The two people in this relationship, they came together, and then they started to victimize younger people.
No.
They victimized younger people together. Does this look familiar to anybody?
Yeah.
That's what a forbidden relationship is, because they were too much on one side. And I didn't read a lot into the details, but there was a lot of discussion about how she partook of the sexual abuse along with him as well. So that's the end of the story, guys. Thanks.
Can I just say,
is it possible to get that presentation? I'd like to share it with someone.